Welcome to Rhumba Legends. This is a Rumba show on your YouTube, Rumba show like no other. This is a Rumba show that focuses on African Rumba music, specifically from Central, East, and West Africa. And in this episode and subsequent episode, tutakuwa tunachanganya wanamuziki. We'll be picking a musician and go through his musical journey from the beginning to the end, if at all alimaliza maneno yake ya kimuziki from the beginning to the end. Alicheza na bandi gani? Which bands did he go through? Who inspired him in the music? Was he alone in these stories za kimuziki? Kwa hivyo, don't go away. And you will be expecting, as a follower of Rumba, utakuwa unatarajia vitu kama nini? You'll be expecting us to mention guys like Zaiko Langalanga, guys like Pepe Bakuba, Wenge Muzika, Kofi Olomide, wako wengi. And if we come to East Africa, we'll not let you down, because East Africa also produced big bands, big musicians. I'm talking about Orchestra Makasi, I'm talking about Orchestra Matimila, DDC Mulimani Park, Maquiz Du Zaire, Come Back Home in Kenya. Here we have Maroon Commandos, we have them Mushrooms, Bendi ni Nyingi. So this is what we call in French, in ile kitu sema muziki wa kila kizazi, music for all generations. And if you love Rumba music, you are at the right place. Did I say my name? My name is Simeon Fumu, na karibu sana in this first episode of my YouTube channel, The Rhumba Legend. Today, I've decided, why not? Should we start to discuss about Empire Bakuba? Yes, why not? Empire Bakuba. If we mention Empire Bakuba, you know three guys. One of them is Jose Dilu Dilumona. Another one is Matolu Dode Papitex. And the other one is Jean-Baptiste Pepe Kalle Kabasele Yampanya Wabamulanga. Usiende mbali. When we come back, tunaanza mmoja one by one. We start with Jose Dilu Dilumona.
Yeah, because
Empire Bakuba. Empire Bakuba. Empire Bakuba was led by these three gentlemen, Dilu Dilumona, Papitex, and Pepe Kalle. And Empire Bakuba comes from the third generation of Congolese Rumba. This is a group that entertained us in 80s until the untimely death of Pepe Kalle somewhere around 1998. When I'm talking about the third generation of Congolese Rumba, let me just mention some of the groups that fall under the third generation of Congolese Rumba. In fact, before I continue, before I mention those groups, Empire Bakuba didn't they inspired the youth. This is a group that came into the musical scene specifically to target the youth of that time, because kulikuwa na magroups zingine kama OK Jazz, kama Orchestra Negro 6A, kulikuwa Dr. Nico, Orchestra ya Tabule Afriza, ambayo ilikuwa na target, ilikuwa na tumbuiza sana wazee, watu ambao walikuwa wamekoma. But we had some groups that emerged somewhere around early 70s, and these groups focused mainly for the youth. I'm talking about which groups? I'm talking about Minzoto Wela Wela. I'm talking about Orchestra Lipolipua. I'm talking about Orchestra Kiam. I'm talking about Les Tukas that was led by a gentleman known as Lita Bembo. Yes, now you understand when I say that Empire Bakuba came at the right time in 1970s. Now, one of the gentlemen is this guy called Dilu Dilumona. Dilu Dilumona, Jose Dilu Dilumona. He came, his first musical orchestra was an orchestra called Diamable, or Blue Diamond. In that group, he was with the following guys. The guys were Mbole Tambwe, we had Denilo Kasa, and a guy by the name Moro Moreno. Hao ndio watu walikuwa katika hii group into a Blue Diamond when Dili Dilumona came and joined the Blue Diamond. After Blue Diamond, there were 3 gentlemen who wanted to do some recordings. Just nielewe vizuri. Kulikuwa na majamaa wengine watatu walikuwa wanataka kufanya recordings zao. Na hao majamaa hawakukuwa waimbaji, they were not singers, they were instrumentalists. And during those days we had guitarists, we had people who played congas, maracas and everything. At that time we didn't have drums in the musical, in African rumba music. We used to have congas. And these 3 gentlemen were Denilo Kasa, Philo Kola, Sesken Molenga, who was the leader of these 3 gentlemen. Remember, Sesken Molenga alikuwa, he was a drummer with Tabule. Later on, he became a drummer with the Tabule. These guys, the 3 gentlemen, wanted to do some recordings, but they were not musicians. So they decided to look for singers, waimbaji, because they play guitars. They wanted singers, and they went and they picked some guys, they picked some guys to come. And one of the guys they picked was Dilu Dilumona to come and do recording. They also picked Papitex to come and do vocalist in these 3 songs. They picked Pepe Kalle to come and do recordings for them. Now, ujue kwamba Seskene Molenga was a drummer with Afriza International, and Tabule was a powerful person in Congo music. So they went to do the recordings at Philips Studios in Kinshasa at that time. When Tabule got wind that one of his musicians, who is Seskene Molenga, anataka kufanya recording, he called the manager of Philips Studios and dared that manager to record this group. Because Tabule thought that when Seskene Molenga akienda kufanya recording, it means that Afriza International inaenda kupasuka msamba. So Seskene Molenga and Philo Kola, Denilo Kasa, with the new singers, they went to Veve Studios that was led by Varkis Kiamwangana Wazola Mbongo Matita. Video walikuwa wanataka kufanya recording, they went into the recording. They wanted to do recording. Varkis told them the songs are nice, but they are not ready. Can you go and rehearse a little bit more kwa hizi nyimbo, and then you come back and do the recordings? So when they came back and did the recordings, the first single, ile 45 RPM, Varkis asked them, which band should we write on the LP? And Seskene Molenga said, Le Bakuba. Yes, the Bakubas. That is the first time in Rumba music we had a group known as Le Bakuba in Rumba music. After Dilu Dilumona, tuende sasa kwa jamaa mwingine, another member of Vampire Bakuba, anaitwa nani? Anaitwa jamaa anaitwa Papitex Matolu Dode. This is not a new name in the musical industry, but before he and others came together to form Empire Bakuba, he was in an orchestra by the name Orchestra Bella Mambo that was led by the younger Vangu brothers. His name was Emil Soki. You know Bella Mambo? You know Orchestra Bella Bella? Emil Soki and Soki Dianzenza. Wakati Soki Emil alikosana na ndugu yake mkubwa, alienda kuanzisha group inaitwa Orchestra Bella Mambo. Hapo ndio Papitex alikuja akaingilia sasa akaingilia hapo kimuziki. The same Orchestra Bella Mambo, it is orchestra that Kanda Bongoman, before he became Kanda Bongoman, alipitia Orchestra Bella Mambo. This group Bella Mambo had also, ilikuwa na jamaa guitarist anaitwa Dino Vangu. Dino Vangu was its main solo guitarist. And Dino Vangu, watu ambao mjue Dino Vangu. Dino Vangu recorded so many songs in Afriza International. In fact, Dino Vangu played all the songs that Mbilia Bell sang in Afriza International. And the same Papitex nakwambia was among those 3 guys that went and recorded songs with Denis Lokasa, Seskeni Molenga, and Philo Kola, and they called themselves Le Bakuba. Remember, that group Le Bakuba was not a performing at or a perform kule nje. Ilikuwa nakutana tu kwa studio kisha record, wanajiita Le Bakuba. Pepe Kalle is not strange to you. You were the largest musician, mwanamuziki ambaye alikuwa mkubwa sana kimwili na kila kitu when it came to rumba music. Pepe Kalle, musically speaking, he came from a group known as African Shock. And after African Shock, alienda kwa group yetu Le Maisotis. He later performed with Orchestra Bella Bella. And in Orchestra Bella Bella, you will hear his voice in the song Mbuta, that was a composition of none other than Niboma Mwandindo. Now you see the musical journey between Pepe Kalle and Niboma Mwandindo. Ilianza kitambo sana in early 70s in Orchestra Bella Bella. And of course, you will hear also Pepe Kalle's, a young Pepe Kalle's voice in the song Mbuta, a song that was recorded in 1973, a composition of none other than Soki Vangu. You will hear a young Pepe Kalle's voice in the song Lipwa Lipwa, a composition of Soki Vangu, a song that was recorded in 1973. And in that song, some of the guys that helped, that recorded that song, Lipwa Lipwa in 1973 were Vata Mombasa as a rhythm guitarist. Kulikuwa na jamaa anaitwa Kinzunga Ricos, who was a solo guitarist, and Shaba Kahamba, who was on bars. That was even though tunaendelea na Pepe Kalle. So these 3 gentlemen, when they started now to form a group after Pepe Kalle broke ranks with the Orchestra Bella Bella, it was Varkis Kiamwangana who invited him and advised him, Pepe Kalle, can you sing for me a song? Pepe Kalle, Varkis akampatia wimbo unaitwa Nakomitunaka. You remember the song? Aye, Nakomitunaka. Aye, Nakomitunaka. I know most of you don't know that song. But ndivyo hivyo. Kwa hivyo vile Varkisa akaambia Pepe Kalle organize something. Pepe Kalle called his colleagues, wale ambao wali record now in Le Bakuba, Papitex na Dilo Dilemona, akawaita, akawaambia Varkisa amesema we can start a group. Which group can we do? Ni group gani tunaweza fanya? And then they called themselves Le Trio Kadima. Le Trio Kadima ilikuwa Kalle, Dilu na Matolu, Le Trio Kadima. Na kulikuwa na mpiga drum, Molenga alikuwa pale pia anacheza drum. Kulikuwa na nani? Kulikuwa na jamaa anapiga bass guitar, alikuwa anaitwa Mepe Sheri. Now these Le Trio Kadima ni ile ambayo ilikuwa ka change jina ikajiita Empire Bakuba.
Lebo sawa. Dans Le Trio Kadima, yo na solo, Belistep na accompagnement, Mepe Sheri na basse. Donc vous allez presque à 6 personnes.
And when they came in 1972, founder members of Empire Bakuba in 1972, the singers in Mekotajia, you know the 3 guys, I don't want to be repeating their names. Lakini kulikuwa na jamaa alikuwa anaitwa Likinga Redo, who was also part of the singers or vocalists in that group. We also had a lead guitarist in that group. The founder guitarist in that group, Empire Bakuba, was none other than Doris Ebuya. Huyo ndiye alikuwa mwanzilishi sana kama mpigaji gita wa group ya Empire Bakuba. Lakini baadaye they wanted some flavor ile ambayo ingecheza kama Zaiko Langalanga. That's when they brought in Kinanga Boeing 737. What a name, Kinanga Boeing 737. By the way, those of you wale ambao hawajaipanda ndege, there's a ndege inaitwa Boeing 737. But we had Mepe Sheri on bass guitar. We had Bonama Jeff on sax, Benazo Mbuta on sax, Jeff Tumba on tumbas. We had Male Mozita on drums, Pepe Kalle on vocals, Madilu Dode on vocals, Dilo Julumona on vocals, Likinga Redo on vocals, and of course, yes, Likinga Redo. Those of you who like Zaiko Langalanga, mnaweza shanga, huyu Likinga Redo, huyu jamaa namtaja, nule alikuwa Zaiko Langalanga. Yes, it is the same Likinga Redo. Zaiko Langalanga came to borrow Likinga Redo from Pepe Bakuba, kwenda kuboost their vocal lineup after one of the musicians kule Zaiko Langalanga alikuwa ametoka kwenda kuanzisha group na kina Papa Wemba. But that's tutakuja kuongea story ya Zaiko Langalanga, mjue mahali Papa Wemba na wewe jamaa walikuwa ni haje. Yes, I like Pepe Kalle's song Dianzenza in the album Zabolo. Now I mentioned the Likinga Redo. Akaenda kabisa. Now when these guys came,
Kolite buya na samwe Pola likambo za bola salinga Nakokite
Pepe Bakuba was a force. Walikuja na force ingine kali sana hujaiona. Competition ilikuwa kali sana in matters music. And let me just mention some of the groups that were main rivals of Pepe Bakuba. We had Minzoto Wela Wela. We had Orchestras Solisole Trio Majesty. We had Les Tukas that was led by my good friend Lita Bembo. We had also Zaiko Langalanga that was led by Nyoka Longo. By there, Zaiko Langalanga badi kompaka Sai, and among others. So in the event, Pepe Kalle, they started touring the country. Pepe Kalle akaona yeye ni mtu giant. Na kule Kongo pia kuna watu ambao mapigmies. So he decided that at one point to bring those short guys, those pygmies, on stage as dancers. Him as a giant and pygmies as dancers. Others wakashangaa wakauliza Pepe Kalle, what are you trying to do? But Pepe Kalle told them, this is a marketing strategy. Can you imagine we are on stage and here I am, the giant and very short guys. So ngojeni mtaona. But that gamble worked. Can you imagine? And so Pepe Kalle brought him the dancers, the short dancers, and let me mention some of them. One of them, you know him, Aila Emoro, may he rest in peace. Kwa kuwa na mwingine alikuwa anaitwa Moseka Bini Sabango, kwa kuwa na Yamangenga, kwa kuwa na Dominic Mabwa and Dokolos. And Dokolos. Hawa na walikuwa ni short guys. So Pepe Kalle alijaribu na akafanya vile alitaka. It worked for him. He introduced Atalaku in music. And Atalaku, he brought in a young, talented and creative Talaku. Those of you who don't know Talaku, they are rappers in Congolese music. And this guy was Bileku Juna Mumbafu, the big one. And Pepe Bakuba was on bomb. Hakuna mtu angetisha Pepe Bakuba at that time. They came with so many albums and they perfected the Suku's style of music. Suku's style of music, which is some creation, not creation, it is some improved curvature style of music. Sukus wanna dance. In the late 80s, wakakuja na dance style, kwasa kwasa, madiaba, pesa posa. Most of you wanasikianga tu hiyo kwa vitabu vya kumbukumbu, but these are things that happened. And these three guys in Empire Bakuba, they had their own roles. What was the role of Pepe Kalle? What was the role of Dile Julumona? What was the role of Papi Tex? The role of Papi Tex, he handled the administration department of Pepe Bakuba. Dile Julumona handled the group's finances. Pepe Kalle in charge of talent and the musicians. Kila kitu ilikuwa sawa and sawa kabisa. What is your favorite song by Pepe Bakuba? Me, I'll pick so many. I like the Pepe Kalle songs zile alikuwa tu na Pepe Bakuba. Pia me, I like Zabolo, Dianzenza, Kai Chim, Pon Kakabuje. I forgot the title of that song. And yes, Pepe Kalle was Pepe Kalle until his untimely death in 1997 in the song, in that album, La Rumba, cocktail album. Cindy Voivo. Yes, now you know the story of Empire Bakuba. Who were the founders of Empire Bakuba? Who were the leaders of Empire Bakuba? If you like their songs, their songs are available on YouTube. You can search Empire Bakuba, upate jimbo zao kwa YouTube. You enjoy their songs on YouTube. Empire Bakuba died slow death after the death of Pepe Kalle. Empire Bakuba ikaanza kukufa pole pole because it is a trend. Tumejua when a band leader akikufa, the band doesn't survive. I can give you example. When Franco died on 23rd October, when he died in 1989, on 12th October 1989, TPOK Jazz didn't exist. It died 3 years later. Ndio kakuja na bana, okay. When Tabule died in 2013, 29th November 2013, Fraser International ilikuja ikafifia kabisa. So that is the trend. When a star or band akikufa, the band disappears. But kulikuwa na fununu ya kwamba before Pepe Kalle died, Dilimona. Okay, let me talk about the last album ya Empire Bakuba. The album was titled Cocktail. That was released in 1997, somewhere there, early 97. Dilimona was not in that album. Papi Tex was not in that album. There's a reason why those guys were not in that album. And that album, Pepe Kalle alitoa tu, ikakuwa successful, hakuenjoy benefits of your album. But that is a story for another day. Yes, if you are, I think nimeongea sana kuhusu Empire Bakuba. If you love their music is available on YouTube. And if you love Pepe Kalle, you can like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell. And of course, when we post other episodes of Rhumba Legends, you'll be the first one to get that, to be informed about our new episode. But before I sign out, bands do die immediately after the band leader ameaga dunia. I'll give you example on 12th October 1989 when the Grand Maître Franco Luambo Makiadi, Lokanga Lanju Pene aliaga dunia. TPOK Jazz tried to survive 3 years, it died. When Tabule died somewhere in November 2013, Afriza International wakajaribu lakini ikafifia. So when Pepe Kalle died in 1997, Empire Bakuba pia kakufa kwa kuja na group ilikuwa ito Delta Force. Sijui iliendanga wapi hiyo group. But anyway, before kulikuwa na msukosuko kwa Empire Bakuba. The last album they released, that is 1997, early 1997, the Cocktail album. Dilimona was not in that album. Papi Tex was not part of that album. Now that's a story for another day. But for now, I've been your host, Simeon Mfumo. Until kwa hivyo, just subscribe, like, share, and hit that bell. Now, my social handles are on the screen. Get back to me. My email address is there. Get back to me on my Facebook page. Tutakuwa tunaweka other episodes. Stand by. We have great interviews with Samba Omar Mapangala. Great interviews with Kanda Bongoman. Great interviews with Varkis Kiamongana Wazola Mbongo. For me, I say adios, amigos. Stay safe. Mwah.